there's a place called Sembawang, just outside the naval dockyards, well it was then, in Singapore. And I remember to this place, and went in and saw this youngish man, and went through it, and he told me three things. And the first thing he said to me was that, he said that you will, when you go back home, you will go to another country. At that time I didn't know, but I went to Scotland, a country I particularly like. I like Scotland. I have some of the family are Scots. But then he said to me, you will never come here again. I thought, well, that's ridiculous, because every ship would do 12 months, 18 months out the Far East, come back to the UK, 6 months, back again. Everything changed in '66 and never went again. And he also said something which was odd. He said to me, and bear in mind that the job I had was pretty much like at the level of being a naval seaman, working on flight decks. And he said to me, throughout your life, jealousy will follow you, hand in glove. I thought that was ridiculous, you know. I thought, can't see that.
It's probably referring to your looks.
And most certainly not. I imagine I was better looking in those days. I've gone off the edge, Johnny, now. I've gone off the edge. I'm definitely better for radio. And anyway, gradually, when I came out of the Navy, my wife's family were in business, and I worked for a local cigarette manufacturer called John Players and Son in Nottingham. And even though people were far higher up in the organisation, in the company, and far better paid, because my family were in business, I started to first of all get the jealousy. But in spiritual work, I don't know why it is, but I've always had that as a shadow against me. That people who are gifted have a difficulty, and this has gone through all the religions of the world over all the years. And I'm not saying that I'm particularly wonderful at what I am, because there's far better people on the platform than I am. I hope there's in the future going to be even far better ones, because we've got to be looking at expanding and growing. But people are jealous of the gift, and the gift is a divine gift. I didn't choose it, and most certainly if I come back into this life again through reincarnation, which I believe is an exception rather than the rule, but if I was to come back, I don't want to do this path, you know, because I don't want that. But the problem also is, if you are gifted, you are sensitive, and sensitivity, the more it heightens, the more you're aware of situations, and it most certainly has been the situation. I believe it. I've gone to spiritualist churches, and if they think you're too good, they don't book you again. See, many people like to be big fish in very small ponds. But what I would rather see is that we have had great mediums of the past, and we've got some very, very good mediums today. David Gordon Wilson in Edinburgh, Gordon Smith. We have excellent mediums. I don't believe we have as many as we used to have in the great days, because unfortunately there are people who are not really gifted. And
what's the reason for that then? Do we just lead more material, less connected lives, or?
I think there's a problem in that. I think the material is obviously the problem is with in spiritual work or spiritualism. And bear in mind, there's not just spiritualists; there are people who do other things, and the spiritual energy runs through all people, believers and not believers. So we've all. But I think in the work I do, we have obviously a growth in the religious aspect. On the other side, we have the paranormal side, which is another different view. But between it, and I think also the lure of television, fame and fortune, and fame is an illusion. It really is. It suddenly goes and disappears like a flower. Comes out in the sun, it's there for a while, and soon it's a memory. So really, it is a collective which is more important.
I find it very interesting that you talk about, you know, your gift almost as a burden. You know, if you had your time again, perhaps you wouldn't want to live this life again.
In some ways,
just
yes.
Explore that for me a little bit.
Well, the problem is, when I first got into it, you know, 30 years doesn't seem long really, but you know, it was new and it was fresh. Then I do believe that a lot of the mediums around were far more tolerant and far more understanding. They used to freely pass people's names from one church to another church. It didn't seem to be in a competition, but I do feel that the lure of the television and fame and fortune has clouded some of the work we're doing. And again, I do feel that becoming ultra-religious is also a problem. And I was recently at a spiritualist church, and where they wanted everybody to stand up, almost affirm themselves as spiritualists. Well, you can't take that assumption. People come to a spiritualist church for support and help and guidance. They don't all want to be in it as a religion. I do feel we've got to be tolerant. And at the end of the day, I really honestly believe that when you leave this life and enter into the great realms of eternal light, and it's only a heartbeat away, once you go there, there is no religion as such, there is spiritual truth. And a man or woman is measured by the deeds and actions. And I'm not perfect, I've made enough mistakes in my life, but that's why I'm here. Nobody is perfect, but we have all got the divine light within us. So it's really up to us to all really work together, because we're all in this world together, and the whole of this world is the tomb of man. Our lives are fashioned on the lives of people who've gone before us. One day we must return to the earth, or the physical body will return to the earth and prove to be the plankton for future generations. And in that moment of physical death, the soul is released to be greeted by 1,000 outstretched hands. No one is lost. It's a world of pure illumination and light, and I believe that once we're free from that, we then can fulfill our destiny, which is spiritual.